For thousands of years, the Arzok Empire watched the galaxy from the shadows. They never showed themselves, never revealed their true power. They believed in control through knowledge, not war. Where others fought, they studied. Where others built armies, they built networks of spies and silent watchers. They called themselves the Silent Eyes. No species knew they existed. No planet suspected they were being watched. And that was how the Arzok kept the galaxy under control, by knowing everything before anyone else. Every new race discovered in the stars was quietly added to their list. Their strengths and weaknesses were recorded. Their history, culture, and technology were stored in deep memory banks. A few species were marked dangerous. Most were considered harmless. Over time, the Arzok became proud. Too proud. They thought they had seen it all, until they noticed a small, noisy planet on the edge of a quiet star system. A planet called Earth. The Arzok had ignored Earth at first. The early signals from the planet were full of strange music, violent movies, and confused politics. Humans, the dominant species, looked emotional and chaotic, not like a threat. But the rule of the Arzok was clear: no species, no matter how small, should be left unstudied. So they sent a junior observer named Varek. It was supposed to be a simple assignment: study the humans, write a report, move on. Varek arrived in Earth's orbit in a ship hidden behind a cloak of light. His scanners picked up everything: radio, signals, internet data, military transmissions. At first he laughed. Humans were fighting each other over borders, beliefs, and money. They argued even when they agreed. Their leaders changed too often. Their history was full of blood, wars, rebellions, civil unrest. Compared to the calm order of the Arzok, humans looked like children playing with fire. But as the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Varek noticed something strange. The humans didn't just survive war. They grew stronger after everyone. After each great conflict, their technology improved, their understanding deepened, even their art became richer. Where most species broke after war, humans rebuilt faster. They learned, adapted, and pushed forward. He watched how a world torn by 2 world wars became a spacefaring civilization in just a few decades. That speed was unnatural. No other species in the galaxy had grown this fast under pressure. He sent his first report to the Arzok High Council. He labeled humans as Level 1 risk. Not a threat yet, but worth watching. The council was amused. "Let the young observer play," they said. "The humans are too emotional to be a problem." Varek disagreed, but he was just a junior. Still, he continued his work. He studied their leaders, their soldiers, their scientists. He looked at their past and tried to predict their future. What he found next chilled him. Humans didn't fear death the way others did. They feared failure more. Their greatest heroes were not kings or conquerors, but people who sacrificed everything for others, soldiers who died to protect their friends, scientists who risked their lives to find cures, explorers who vanished in space trying to reach the stars. This kind of thinking was rare in the galaxy, dangerous, because it meant humans would fight, even when they knew they couldn't win. He dove deeper. He found books, films, and training manuals full of war strategies no other species would consider. Traps within traps, feigned retreats, unpredictable moves, and always the same message: never give up, never surrender. He began to wonder, what would happen if the humans ever faced a real galactic enemy? Would they panic? Or would they become something else entirely? He searched Earth's data for military programs. One caught his attention. It was called Project Last Stand. At first, it looked like a simulation, a game where humans practiced fighting against stronger alien invaders. But this game was different. It wasn't about winning. It was about not losing. The humans in the simulation used everything: asteroids, EMPs, hacked communication networks, psychological attacks. They even turned their own defeat into a trap. Varric read the simulation results again and again. In every version, the humans found a way to survive. Sometimes they barely made it. Sometimes they sacrificed millions. But they always made sure the enemy paid a heavy price. This was not normal thinking. This was dangerous thinking. He sent a second report to the High Council. This time, he marked humans as Level 2 risk. He included a warning. If they ever unite, if they ever face a real threat, they will not just survive. They will become something unstoppable. But again, the Council ignored him. They had watched hundreds of species. They had controlled empires. What could one small blue planet do? They told him to finish the report and move on. But Varric couldn't stop watching. Something inside him told him the humans were different. Not just because of their speed, not just because of their strategy, but because of their spirit, their will. Then one day, as he was scanning a human broadcast, something unexpected happened. A signal came from deep within Earth's military networks. It wasn't meant for him. But it reached his hidden ship. 4 simple words blinked across his screen. "We know you're there." Varric froze. No species had ever detected the Arzok observers. Not once in all their years. But now one planet, a primitive, noisy, emotional planet, had seen the shadows, and it was watching back. Varric sat in silence inside his hidden ship, still staring at the strange human message. "We know you're there." Those words played again and again in his mind. No race in the galaxy had ever noticed an Arzok observer before. Their cloaking technology was flawless, their signals unreadable. And yet somehow these humans had seen through it. Varric didn't know how, but he knew one thing. It was not a mistake. He quickly checked his systems for errors. None. He reviewed the source of the message. It came from a secret part of Earth's military data network. Encrypted, precise, direct. It was almost like a test. A way to say, "We see you, but we're not afraid." Varric didn't sleep for 3 cycles. He kept reviewing Earth's history. War after war, century after century. Most races slowed down after their first global conflict. War broke their spirit. But humans were different. The more they suffered, the more they grew. Their worst wars didn't weaken them, they made them stronger. That was the strange pattern Varric had missed at first. It wasn't just luck. It was built into their nature. He focused on the 2 world wars. The first had nearly destroyed Europe. Millions died. But in the years that followed, technology grew. Planes flew faster. Radios became common. Medicine improved. People said, "Never again." But it happened again. The Second World War was even worse. More destruction, more death. But after it ended, something changed. The world didn't fall into chaos. Instead, humans launched into space. Varric blinked as he saw the timeline. Less than 30 years after World War II, humans landed on their moon. Other races had taken centuries to leave their homeworlds. The humans did it in 1 generation, while still recovering from war. That was not normal. That was not safe. He searched deeper. He found battles that made no logical sense. One small group of human soldiers holding off hundreds. Civilians forming. Resistance movements. People choosing death over surrender. Why? What made them keep fighting when the outcome was hopeless? Then he saw something strange. It wasn't about survival. It was about belief. Humans believed in something greater than themselves. Sometimes it was freedom. Sometimes it was honor. Sometimes it was just hope. But that belief gave them power. Power that no machine or weapon could break. Varric began comparing human behavior to other galactic races. The results were shocking. Most species needed stability. If you broke their systems, they collapsed. But humans were different. Chaos made them adapt. Crisis made them evolve. Stress made them think faster. Pain made them sharper. No wonder. They had advanced so fast. He wrote another report, longer this time. He included historical data, psychological models, and timelines. He marked humans as Level 3 unstable threat. He warned the Council again, they do not follow the pattern. They break the pattern. But the High Council still didn't take him seriously. One senior member laughed and said, "Are you afraid of war stories?" Another said, "They have no ships, no colonies, no fleets. What threat do they pose?" Varric knew they were wrong. The danger wasn't in what humans had. The danger was in what they were becoming. They didn't need massive fleets. Not yet. Because when the time came, they would build them. Fast, better, smarter, and they would fight like no one else. He started looking into Earth's current behavior. There were signs. Humans were exploring Mars, building defense satellites, developing AI-guided weapons. Small steps, yes, but fast steps. He also found global military training programs that focused on something strange, how to fight enemies much stronger than Earth. Who were they preparing for? One training program stood out. It was called Echo Red. The name sounded harmless, but it was a series of deep space survival simulations. Soldiers were taught how to survive behind enemy lines, how to disable alien ships using only basic tools, how to hack unfamiliar technology. They trained to lose their own base and then fight back anyway. These were not ordinary drills. These were preparations for an impossible war. And yet, the most disturbing thing wasn't what Varric found. It was what he couldn't find. There were holes in Earth's digital history, missing files, deleted reports, hidden operations. Someone had carefully erased certain things, and only skilled hands could do that. Varric started to feel something rare, fear. Not fear of being discovered. That had already happened. No, this was a different kind of fear. Fear of not understanding. The humans were unpredictable, unreadable. They didn't follow the rules of other species. They broke them, rewrote them, or ignored them completely. He tried to contact the Silent Eye station near Earth. No response. He sent 3 encrypted messages. Still nothing. That station had watched Earth for over 50 years. It couldn't go dark, not unless it was taken offline by force or by choice. The last message they had sent weeks ago had only one line. "They are learning faster than expected." Varric sat back in his chair, staring at the Earth through his ship's dark screen. A blue planet full of noise, fire, and questions. A place that once looked like a child's playground, but now felt like a ticking weapon, waiting to be noticed. In his mind, he heard the words again, "We know you're there." And for the first time in his life, Varric truly believed. They did. Varric didn't sleep for days. The message from Earth still echoed in his mind. "We know you're there." The words weren't a threat. They were worse. They were a warning. Calm. Cold. Controlled. The humans had not attacked, not panicked, not reacted with fear. They had simply let him know they were watching too. He dug deeper into human systems. He had to understand more. If Earth really knew about the Arzok, then they were no longer just a developing race. They were something else, something dangerous. That's when he found it, a secret file buried under layers of military encryption. The file was old, but recently updated. Its name, Project Last Stand. At first, Varric thought it was just another simulation. Humans loved war games, but this was different. Project Last Stand wasn't just a training exercise. It was a full survival program. They'd be a blueprint for how humanity would fight against an alien invasion, against a stronger, faster, more advanced enemy. The files showed everything. Defense plans, civilian evacuation routes, weapon designs built from scavenged parts, even underground cities ready to hide and fight from the shadows. It was as if the humans already knew they were not alone in the galaxy. And worse, they expected the galaxy to come for them. Varric read the core objective of Project Last Stand. Victory is not required, only survival and maximum enemy damage. That line shook him. It was pure human thinking. They didn't need to win, they only needed to make the enemy pay, make them regret, make them bleed. He watched the training videos linked to the project. Soldiers learned how to fight without communication, how to lead if their officers died, how to build bombs from scrap. Children were taught how to spot alien drones. Scientists ran secret experiments on reverse engineering non-human tech. It wasn't fantasy. It was preparation. There were no dates, no countries listed. It wasn't a national project. It was global, quiet, hidden, but clearly real. The deeper he went, the darker it got. Humans had designed traps not just for ships, but for entire civilizations. Signals that lured enemies into empty regions of space, hacked beacons that turned, friendly fleets against each other. They even developed fake surrender systems, pretend messages of peace, used to bait invaders into ambushes. Varric couldn't believe it. Every species he had studied focused on winning quickly, clean, smart. But the humans, they planned for the worst. They trained to be the last ones standing in a sea of ruins, and still willing to fight. One video showed a single soldier holding a position after her entire squad had died. She kept fighting for 5 days, alone, wounded, hungry. She had one goal: to delay the enemy just long enough for civilians to escape. She died in the end, but the civilians made it. She became a symbol in the program's training manual. Her file was labeled The Standard. Varric paused. This was not how the galaxy operated. Other species would retreat, surrender, rebuild. Humans didn't. They held the line even when the line was broken, even when they had nothing left. He sent a Level 4 alert to the High Council. He marked Earth as potential existential threat. He attached everything he found, the videos, the documents, the strange human psychology that refused to accept defeat. But he knew what would happen. The High Council had never believed in small races causing big problems. They thought power only came from technology and numbers. But Varric was beginning to understand the truth. Real power came from will, and humans had too much of it. Suddenly, an alert popped up on his ship's screen. Unauthorized signal detected. Someone was trying to access his ship's systems. That was impossible. His tech was beyond anything Earth had. Yet the breach continued. Lines of code filled his display. Not destructive, just curious. The attacker wasn't trying to break his ship. They were trying to read it. Varric cut the signal and powered down his system. But he was too late. A single message appeared across his monitor. This time it wasn't a warning. "You're not the only one watching." His blood ran cold. Someone on Earth had traced him. Maybe not fully. Maybe not to the Arzok. But enough to send a clear message: we see you. We understand you, and we are preparing. Varric sat back in his chair. The stars outside seemed darker now. The Earth below didn't look so harmless anymore. He realized something terrifying. Project Last Stand wasn't just a plan for survival, it was a message to the galaxy. If you come for Earth, you better be ready, because humans won't run, they won't beg, they won't surrender. They will make their final stand, and that's when they're at their most dangerous. Varric tried to stay calm, but something inside him was breaking. The message, "You're not the only one watching," was not just a warning. It was proof. The humans had found a way to see him. Maybe not clearly, maybe not completely, but enough to touch his ship's systems, enough to send a message back. That had never happened before. He ran a deep scan on all nearby satellites and radio towers. Nothing seemed strong enough to reach his cloaked ship. Yet the signal had arrived, cutting through layers of Arzok shielding like it wasn't even there. It made no sense, unless someone had help. Varric's hands moved quickly across the control panel. He sent encrypted pings to the other observer, ships around Earth. 5 Arzok ships had been placed around the planet in different regions, each hidden, each watching. No response. He tried again, then a third time, using a direct communication burst that couldn't be blocked by human tech. Still, nothing. His throat felt dry. That kind of silence could mean only 2 things. Either they had gone dark on purpose, or they were gone. He activated emergency tracking. The ships were equipped with passive beacons, tiny energy pulses that couldn't be detected by humans. One by one, the signals came in. Observer 2, offline. Observer 3, beacon destroyed. Observer 4, no signal. Observer 5, last ping. 7 Earth days ago. Varric's blood froze. 4 ships were missing. 4 silent observers, the galaxy's best. Intelligence vessels had vanished near Earth. No warning, no message, no remains. Just nothing. He stared at the Earth on his screen. That peaceful blue ball looked smaller now, but heavier, as if it was hiding something beneath its clouds. Something even the Arzok hadn't seen coming. Varric opened. The last data packet from Observer 5. The ship had been stationed over the Southern Ocean, watching a chain of human islands. The final scan showed strange underwater heat signatures, too regular to be natural, too deep to be human mining. And then, suddenly, static. The beacon had gone silent. He zoomed in on the location. There was nothing on the surface. No signs of war. No explosions, not even a shipwreck. It was like Observer 5 had been erased from space. He checked global news feeds from Earth. Still no mentions of alien contact, but there were quiet signs, a few sudden lockdowns in coastal cities. A strange military drill held without warning. One country activated emergency satellites for testing. Another sent a nuclear submarine to patrol an area near the last signal. Humans weren't panicking, they were responding, but that raised a terrifying question. If they hadn't seen the Arzok ships, what had they found? Varric began scanning, deeper, not for weapons but for patterns, secret movement, hidden data. And then he saw it, a network of underground signals. Not global, not shared, private. Closed systems connected by deep-sea cables and stealth satellites. Not part of any government, not even part of known corporations. It was something else, something invisible. He followed the trail and reached a name. The Black Root. It didn't appear in any open files. It was buried in code, in small notes, in strange machine language buried inside Earth's older servers. He found fragments of what it meant, a program, a facility, a defense mechanism. The files said only one thing clearly: if contact is confirmed, activate Black Root. That was all, but that meant everything. Humans had prepared for alien discovery, quietly, without telling their own people, without showing it to the world. It wasn't just Project Last Stand anymore. That was for public action. This was for something much worse. Something humans didn't even want their own leaders to fully understand. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through Varric's ship. Incoming message, encrypted, unknown source, direct signal. His hands shook as he accepted the message. Only one line appeared on the screen. They were warned. They didn't listen. You won't get a second chance. There was no sender, no signature, no trace. The message disappeared as fast as it came. Varric leaned back, heart pounding. He wasn't just being watched. He was being hunted, not by human armies, not by random soldiers, by something else, someone inside Earth's shadow. He realized the Arzok had made a mistake. They had studied Earth's history, its wars, its politics. But they had missed the one thing that mattered. Humans don't always fight in the open. Sometimes the most dangerous ones hide, and when they strike, they leave no warning and no witnesses. Varric activated stealth jump engines. He had to leave orbit, not run away, but to warn the others. To report what he had seen before he disappeared like the others. As his ship began to move, he looked at Earth one last time. Now he understood. This planet wasn't just home to a primitive species, it was home to something else entirely. Something the galaxy wasn't ready for, something watching from the dark. Varric jumped into low orbit, far away from Earth's surface. His ship stayed invisible, cold and silent, but he wasn't calm anymore. 4 Arzak observer ships, gone. No fight, no signals, no trace, only warnings and silence. And now, someone or something on Earth was sending him direct messages. The last one still burned in his mind. They were warned. They didn't listen. You won't get a second chance. Varric knew what it meant. He was the last observer near Earth, the last eye in the shadows, and he was being watched too. He checked his ship's logs again. No attacks, no systems damage, no tracking signals. But something didn't feel right. The humans hadn't fired a single weapon. They didn't need to. That was more terrifying than war. He opened a secure channel to the Arzak High Command. Earth is not what we thought, he said. We have to change our approach. Now. But no response came. The signal was being blocked. He tried other channels, military relays, diplomatic paths, deep space buoys. Nothing worked. Varric's ship was fully functional, but he was cut off from the galaxy. That's when he understood. Earth wasn't just hiding its strength. It was containing him. He ran full diagnostics. His communication dish had been rerouted without damage. A silent hijack. Clean. Smart. The Arzak were the most advanced in cyber warfare, and yet the humans had done this without even leaving a mark. Varric felt cold sweat on his forehead. He remembered something from the files he had stolen earlier. A single line buried in a classified Earth protocol. Our greatest weapon is silence. He hadn't understood it before. Now he did. Earth didn't need to fight. They just needed you to guess what they were doing. To doubt your own power. To fear shadows. And now those shadows were closing in on him. He turned on the deep space scanners, trying to spot anything unusual. Satellites, drones, or ships. Nothing. Only empty space, peaceful. But his instincts screamed. He changed his scanner filters to heat signatures. Still nothing. Then finally something blinked, a tiny signal, barely there, floating above the Pacific Ocean. Not a satellite, not a ship. It was just a balloon. He zoomed in. A weather balloon. No. Too high. Too quiet. It didn't match any human data in his files. He traced the signal coming from it. It wasn't recording weather. It was watching the sky. Listening. The balloon wasn't built to look at Earth. It was built to look at space. That's when he saw the others. Hundreds. No, thousands of small hidden objects. Some in the air, some in orbit, some just floating. Quietly, like space dust. Every one of them carried the same strange system. Mirror watch. Varric had no clue what it meant. But one thing was clear. Earth had built a silent network around the planet. Invisible, passive, no lasers, no missiles, just eyes, always watching. He searched for the core signal. There had to be a central system controlling it all. And then he found it. It wasn't on the surface. It wasn't in the sky. It was inside Earth's moon. At first, Varric thought it was impossible. The moon had no life, no atmosphere, no energy fields. But under the moon's surface, deep below the craters, was a soft, regular pulse. A machine. Base. Hidden inside a natural satellite, protected by silence and dust. No broadcasts, no lights, no signs, just a heartbeat. One line in his system now repeated every 5 seconds. Node active. Awaiting threat confirmation. This wasn't a weapon Earth planned to use in war. This was something they would use only once, when it was too late for anything else. A final option. A trap. The more he looked, the more Varric saw. This wasn't just defense, it was preparation for extinction. Earth had built systems to survive in silence, to strike when no one expected it. Earth's silent weapon wasn't a laser or bomb or fleet. It was information. It was doubt. It was fear. And it was already working. Varric pulled away from the moon and sent one final burst transmission, short, encoded, and desperate. "Do not engage Earth. We are the ones being hunted." He didn't wait to see if it got through. He didn't wait to see if anyone would answer. He just powered up his stealth drive and prepared to leave Earth's orbit. But just as the engines charged, one last message appeared on his screen. "You may leave. Tell them what you saw. They won't believe you. But they will." Varric froze. That message wasn't a threat. It was a trap. Letting him go was part of their plan. They wanted him to return. They wanted the galaxy to doubt itself. Because once fear spread, once silence grew, the humans wouldn't need to fire a single shot, and that was the real weapon. Varric's ship broke through the edge of Earth's system in total silence. The cold of deep space wrapped around him like a warning he couldn't shake. He was far from Earth now, but it didn't feel like escape. It felt like he had just walked, out of a trap. Still alive, only because his enemy let him live. The stars looked normal again. The comms were working. His stealth cloak was intact, but something inside him had changed. He had seen what Earth really was. Not weak, not primitive, not afraid. It was ready. It was watching, and it was already playing the next move. Varric didn't waste time. He opened an emergency channel to the Galactic Council. His voice was steady but cold. "I need a priority hearing. Subject, humanity." A pause. Then came the reply. "Proceed to the outer assembly. Report will be heard within one rotation." Varric set course toward the massive council station that floated between three suns. Ships from dozens of species docked there. Bright flags flew. Peaceful music played. It was a symbol of galactic unity and control. But Varric now knew how thin that peace really was. He landed without delay. Armed guards met him, curious but calm. No one knew what he had seen. Not yet. Inside the great hall, the council sat high, in their seats. Tall beings from every race, glowing eyes, smooth skin, robotic minds, watched him closely. The High Speaker, a tall creature made of liquid silver, nodded. "Observer Varric, you may speak." Varric stepped forward and said just 5 words. "Earth is not what we thought." The room stayed silent. He continued. 4 observers vanished, no debris, no signal. "My ship was compromised, without being touched. Human systems sent direct messages. They hijacked my communication and surveillance, and they knew I was watching." A loud whisper spread through the chamber. A giant insectoid commander raised a hand. "You mean to say the humans knew about our observation network?" Varric nodded. "They didn't just know. They built defenses against it. Silent weapons, passive systems, a complete shadow net, and something more." He paused. "A hidden base, inside their moon." The room exploded in noise. Some laughed. Others stared in shock. "A base?" one counselor asked. "Inside a dead rock?" "Yes," Varric said. "With advanced tracking, possibly AI-controlled. It doesn't broadcast. It doesn't warn. It waits." "For what?" another asked. "For us," Varric said. The silver High Speaker tilted its head. "What proof do you have?" Varric held up a small black crystal. "Encrypted logs. You can read them, but be warned. Earth's systems may track even this transmission." Still, the council hesitated. One reptilian diplomat chuckled. "So, you want us to believe that a single primitive species, barely unified, somehow outsmarted the Arzok Empire, disabled our stealth ships, and sent you home on purpose?" Varric's jaw tightened. Yes, because they wanted us to know what they can do. Why would they do that? Asked another. Why not attack? Because they don't need war, Varric said. They've built something worse. Fear, doubt. They want us to second-guess everything. They want us to argue while they prepare in silence. One old counselor with blue crystal skin leaned forward. So, you suggest we avoid Earth? Varric shook his head. No. I suggest we respect Earth. If we don't, more observers will vanish. Then fleets, then colonies. A shadow of silence filled the hall. But then, the High Speaker said, Your report will be reviewed. Thank you, observer. Varric, you may return to your station. That was it. Dismissed, like nothing happened. Varric stood frozen. You're not taking this seriously. We are considering all possibilities, the High Speaker replied calmly. Perhaps your systems were damaged. Perhaps your mind... I'm not imagining this, Varric growled. But they weren't listening. Varric turned and walked out. His fists clenched. They wouldn't believe. Not until it was too late. In the hall outside, he heard quiet whispers. Council guards looking his way. 2 counselors speaking softly to security. Something wasn't right. He headed back to his ship, but stopped. A figure stood near the landing bay, humanoid, slim, covered in a gray robe. Varric, the figure said softly. He stepped back. Who are you? The figure pulled back the hood. Human, on a council station. I told you they wouldn't listen, she said. But don't worry. They will. Varric stared at her. You're not supposed to be here. How did you get... She smiled. We've always been here. And with that, she vanished. No teleport signal, no device, just gone. Varric backed. Into his ship, heart pounding. His mind raced. If humans were already on council worlds, how deep did this go? How much did they already know? And if they were here, inside the heart of galactic power, and no one noticed, what else were they hiding? Varric didn't sleep. He couldn't. After what he saw at the council station, after seeing a human appear and vanish without a trace, he knew the truth. Humanity wasn't rising. They had already risen. The galaxy just didn't know it yet. Back inside his ship, Varric played the message again, the one the human woman whispered before disappearing. We've always been here. It repeated in his mind like a storm. Varric knew he had to warn someone, anyone. If the council wouldn't listen, maybe the outer colonies would. The border, fleets, the science guilds, somebody. He sent coded messages, 37 of them. Only 2 replies came back. One was from a small defense outpost on the edge of Arzok space. They said, Strange signals near Earth confirmed. Our long-range probes have stopped responding. We're increasing scans. The second was a single word from a rogue AI intelligence hidden deep in the dark sector. Too late. That was the moment Varric realized this wasn't about humans preparing to act. They already had, and the galaxy had already lost the first move. Meanwhile, back on the council world, something strange was happening. Ships that had passed near Earth were suddenly quiet, not destroyed, not damaged, just silent. No calls, no data, like they had vanished into space, without even a scream. Then the rumors started. A trading convoy found an entire mining colony, empty. No bodies, no damage, just abandoned, machines still running, meals still warm. The only clue was a single sentence burned into a wall. Observe no more. The council tried to keep it secret. But fear spreads faster than truth. Soon, every race, every system started asking questions. Who are the humans really? What are they hiding? Why don't they attack? But no one had answers, only silence. Then a broadcast appeared. No one knew where it came from. It broke into every screen, every channel, every ship across the galaxy. A human stood in the center of a dark room, his face calm, his eyes serious. No flag, no threat, just words. He said, "We warned you. You studied us like animals. You thought we were weak, forgotten, divided. But we watched too. We learned. We grew. Now you know the truth. We are not afraid of you. We never were." The message ended. No music, no logo, no request for peace, just a statement, a fact. The galaxy reacted with panic. Some wanted to attack Earth immediately. Others begged for peace talks. A few species tried to leave the Council entirely, afraid they would be the next target. But no one truly understood what the humans wanted. That's what made them dangerous. Then, just as quickly, the humans sent nothing. No more messages, no movement, no answers, only silence. Again. The Council sent a secret fleet toward Earth, this time with cloaked ships, AI commanders, and backup fleets waiting at the edge of the system. The Fae. Ships entered Earth's orbit. They were never heard from again, not destroyed, not seen crashing, just gone. That was the final spark. War was now a whisper on every world. But just before the vote to declare a full offensive on Earth, something arrived. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't a weapon. It was a human ship, small, unarmed, flying straight toward the Council station. No defenses, no escort, just one ship. It docked without resistance. One human walked out. The same woman Varric saw earlier. She walked into the Council chamber alone, with no fear. She stood at the center and spoke softly. "You want to know what we are? We are what you made us. You watched us, judged us, tested us." She looked at each race in the room. "You feared what we might become, and now you're right to be afraid. But this is your last chance to avoid what comes next." One counselor shouted, "What do you want? Peace, war?" She smiled sadly. "We want nothing." She turned and began to walk away. The High Speaker stood and asked, "Then why are you here?" The woman stopped at the door. "Because after today, we won't speak again." Then she left. The humans disappeared. No more messages, no more ships, nothing. And that was worse than any war, because the galaxy was left wondering, what were the humans really planning? When would they strike? Would they strike at all? Or had they already won, just by being feared? Varric sat alone in his ship, staring at the stars. He whispered to himself, "They studied every race, but none like humans." He remembered Earth's final message, and now he understood. Humanity was the real threat. Not because of their weapons, not because of their ships, but because they had already mastered fear, and fear could defeat even the strongest enemy. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy waited afraid.